Good day to you, this day of your time as you create time to exist. Allow us to begin this day of your time with the laying of a foundation that we may entitle grounding. Now many of you have recognized that what you have termed a new age has come upon your planet. A new age of exploring different ideas that have to do with what you call the consciousness of your being, the realizations of self-awareness and the expansion of your senses in many different realms that for a long time, in your terms of counting, have been discounted upon your planet and your civilization. But now many of you, more of you than ever before, are beginning to become sensitized, shall we say, to the idea that physical reality is but one of the ways you as a being have of expressing your consciousness. As this becomes clearer and clearer to each and every one of you, sometimes because of the old habits, the old approaches, the old definition, the old ideas you have been brought up with, that you have used to define your physiological reality up to this point, sometimes these old ideas will be the way, will be the methods that you use to apply the new ideas into your physiological reality. And sometimes some of you find there may be a great deal of difficulty in allowing some of the newer ideas to be applied through the old belief systems, through the old thought formats. Sometimes, therefore, there will be a variety of reactions within many of the individual members of your society, all the way from a great deal of negativity all the way up to disconnection from your physiological reality. And this is why we would like to address the whole notion this evening of your time of what you colloquially call grounding yourselves, so that you can allow yourselves to explore the vast realms of your consciousness and yet at the same time realize that the exploration of these vast realms of consciousness do not need to take you away from the reality that you yourselves have chosen to be born into. That you can blend the notions of the physical and the non-physical reality very, very well. You can balance these things together and create, shall we say, a pragmatic approach to the idea of what you have termed metaphysics. Now, the idea is to realize that one of the things that causes the greatest amount of separation of individuals when they begin exploring metaphysical notions, the greatest amount of separation from your physical society is the whole notion that physical reality is somehow not as spiritual as non-physical reality, and therefore when they begin exploring the whole notion of spirituality, they begin to remove themselves, methodology-wise, as you say, from the notion of plugging in or staying plugged into the idea of physical reality. Both are equal realms of expression. Both are valid methods of expression. Both are equally spiritual in the fundamental meaning of the term, because both levels are created out of your spirit, out of your consciousness. They cannot be otherwise. There is only one, shall we say, material out of which any reality, any experience, any dimension can be created, and that is, in and of itself, the prime energy of the infinite creator, the spirit of the universe, if you wish to put it in those terms. Out of that spiritual material, out of that primal medium, everything is created. Physical reality, non-physical reality, all the ideas that you can conceive of are, in a sense, taking their sustenance from the spiritual medium, the primal substance of the infinite creation itself. Therefore, since everything is made out of the same, shall we say, stuff, there is no need, in that sense, to create one realm of expression, one, shall we say, crystallization of expression in the universe to be any less valid than any other, just because it may happen to be more dense, or more, shall we say, refined, or more focused, or more confining in one sense of that term. It is still spiritual, and all the confinement that an individual may perceive in any one particular level of reality usually comes from their perception of that reality anyway, not the inherent quality of the reality itself. So, there is no need for the idea of individuals who begin exploring the notions of spirituality and higher consciousness to become, shall we say, detached from the idea of your physiological realm, to become light-headed in that way, to become airy in that sense, to make no sense, practically speaking, to the idea of the physiological realm. These things do not have to be mutually exclusive. As we have discussed many times, your society has been brought up with the notion that it's either got to be this or that. And the idea simply is that it can be this and that it can be additive, that it can in that way be inclusive and enhancing rather than exclusive and segregational. This definition of making it, allowing it to be enhancing, can allow individuals to begin to see the relationships between the non-physical and the physical reality, can begin to create a new set of definitions in your society that allows there to be explanations and understandings, even in what you may call a scientific format, for the idea of what up to now seems to be so unexplainable, as many various phenomena in your reality seem to be. Nothing in that sense is truly unexplainable. There may be different things which have more or less applicability into your particular dimensional realm. But if something can be experienced in your dimensional realm, if there is any way, shape, or form you can have an experience, then to some degree, that idea can be understood by the inhabitants of the realm that are having that experience. At least the portion of that phenomena that is experienced in that dimension can somehow be made to fit or be allowed to fit within all the possible phenomena that are experienced or capable of being experienced in that realm. So the idea simply is that just because someone doesn't understand something, first of all, because they may not see at first how it fits, doesn't mean that it does not fit. Conversely, just because someone believes a certain way, knows it fits, but doesn't also see how perhaps it fits with other people's notions, do not have to take the point of view that they are beyond all that or above all that. The whole idea is that each and every one of you individually chose to be born in your reality. And therefore, whatever it is you learn, whatever it is you experience in that reality, in some way, shape, or form can be applied to the overall understanding of that reality. It does not have to seem as if what you call science and metaphysics are truly speaking two totally different languages. They do not have to seem mutually and forever exclusive of each other. They are simply different perspectives of the same one fundamental idea of existence, but with different definitions, different points of view, different approaches to the recognition of existence. They are quite the same thing, just in what you may call a slightly different language. But the idea, really, in that sense, is that you can apply, and the idea is to learn how to apply everything you learn in the metaphysical structure of things to the physical structure of your reality. The idea, when you discover that there may be the ability to reach what you call heaven, is not to run away from earth, to run away to heaven, but to allow yourself to realize that your recognition of the existence of the vibratory state you have labeled as heaven means you can create that vibratory state of heaven on earth itself. And that's one of the reasons why you have created your existence and your focus where it is in the physical reality in which you now find yourselves to exist. Applicability is the key. Allow yourself to begin with the trust in your grounding that everything you experience must, by definition, be able to be applied somehow in the overall schematic, the overall template, the overall definition of your physiological reality. Look for that application. Do not simply let it go and say, well, that's just the way it is. That's the same type of things many of you complain about when you discuss these issues with your scientists. They say, well, that's the way it is. But no, it's not. You say, well, they have the same point of view. When a metaphysician says, well, that's just the way it is, and a scientist says, no, it's not, recognize it is simply a reciprocal of the same point of view. Nothing has to be left as being just that's the way it is. There is a way to understand it. There is a way to apply it. And there is a way to treat even the idea of such esoteric phenomena as metaphysical studies into a very pragmatic and practical application in your physical reality. That is why we have, for the years we have been communicating with you, always endeavored to illustrate the idea of the mechanical application of all the principles we talk about. For we recognize you do exist in a physical materiality. We also, as a civilization to some degree, exist in our own type of physical materiality, and therefore we understand the importance, shall we say, of knowing that what you hear and what you learn must also come with a methodology, must also come with an understanding of how to apply what you are learning into the idea of your physiological existence so that you can change the physical existence in the way you prefer it to change, so that you can learn that the physical existence is but an extension of your definitions, is but an extension of your imaginations and your belief systems, so that you understand that you are co-creators with the infinite. And what that means is that the physical reality you experience is your version of the infinite, your version of creation, your exercising of your ability to function as an aspect of the infinite. It is all well and good for individuals that are exploring higher levels of their consciousness to say, well, unconditional love is all there is what it's all about. It is a very loving place to come from. It is a very, very strong place of understanding. But if you don't understand how to apply unconditional love in your physical reality, then no one is going to be able to derive the physiological benefit from your revelations, from your discoveries, from your awarenesses. The whole idea is to function as a living example in a way that allows other individuals to know that what you have discovered is something they can discover as well, something they can apply in their physiological reality. Because remember, your world, and having gone through many thousands of years of learning separation, requires an example of how to take what they already know and turn it into a method that they can apply along lines that they already understand. There does not have to be anything mysterious about the idea of what you have called metaphysical studies in your society. It does not have to bounce against the ideas and the notions of what seems to be common sense. In fact, it is based on common sense in a very broad way and sometimes in a very specific way. But the idea is to allow yourself to learn how that is so, to learn, to see the connections between the non-physical and the physical, to understand how the physical is the product of the non-physical, and vice versa, to understand how they are intertwined, so that there is no longer any separation upon your planet between the idea of different points of view. Now, this does not mean that you lose your individuality. It does not mean that you forsake different avenues of approach. It simply means that you understand all avenues of approach are valid, are equal, and in their own self-created reality are true, just as true as any other approach, just as real as any other approach, and that one can be transformed into the other, because they are all aspects, they are all versions, they are all faces of the one infinite from which they have all been created. So keep your feet on the ground even while your head is in the sky. Always remember that you chose to be physical. It is for a reason. It is for allowing yourself to learn how to apply what you are learning, what you are connecting into the reality you have chosen as your home for now. At this timing, we will extend to you as a civilization our utmost gratitude in allowing us to experience all the different ways you have chosen to go through and co-create with us this transformational age upon your planet. For us, it is very exciting. I know for all of you it is very exciting too, although some of you sometimes don't think of it as exciting. Our idea, however, is that we appreciate deeply this opportunity to reflect to you your own power and to remind each and every one of you that you do not need us, but that we simply desire to interact with you because we love you. And that if you are willing to interact with us as an equal, then what that will mean is that you yourself know that you are responsible utterly for the creations you experience in your own reality, and that means you can do with it what you really want to, what you really desire to. We thank you for the opportunity to reflect this to you, to reflect back to you what you already know, to simply allow us to remind you that you are aspects of the infinite. This is a gift to us, and in return for this gift, I will ask you now, how is it and in what way may I be of service to you?
Hello, Bashar.
And good day to you.
I have a very practical question for you.
Oh, right.
My stepbrother Jacques has developed lumps throughout his lymph system.
All right.
And I was wondering if you could help me understand what he's doing and what the family can do to help him.
All right. Now, I cannot necessarily be too specific because we do not right now function that way. However, the idea, to begin with, the first step in any case, especially where what you call dis-ease, physiological dis-ease is concerned, is to allow the individual to get in touch with themselves in the following manner. To allow them to ask themselves, what am I learning about myself by having this disease? What is this disease? What is this condition? What is this situation forcing me to face? What issues have come up because of this disease that may not have come up if I didn't have it? Now, this is not to say an individual has to have a disease. No one has to have a disease. However, because your society has taught you many things that allow you to limit yourself in various ways, then many times many of you are not willing or allowing enough or knowledgeable enough to know that you could get the information that the disease is delivering to you in a more beneficial way. So the way to allow the disease to transform into a more positive manifestation, if it is going to, is to begin to understand why it has been created. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to understand what you are learning out of being in the situation. What ideas allow you to integrate within yourself a fuller, expanded awareness of your abilities, of your powers, of your connection to the infinite? Once you understand what information the disease is forcing you to look at, then you can make the decision that you will allow that information to come through you in your life in other ways, other than the idea of the disease, which simply is the idea of forcing you into a corner to force you to face things that you may not have been aware of within you because you may have placed them in your sub or unconscious strata that an individual in your society has created. So the first step is to remind that individual that it is their creation. Now, this does not mean that they necessarily consciously chose it, but it is their creation based on the ideas, the definitions, the negative ideas that they have been, shall we say, spoon-fed since childhood. And they may not see any other way to get the information that the disease is showing them other than by forcing them to face it through the disease. If they can expand their understanding of what it is that they are learning, they can learn it in another way. That is step one. You follow me so far?
Yes.
The second step that we would suggest is simply that you remind the individual that they are energy, that matter and energy, as even your own scientists know, is the same thing. And that the idea of any manifestation, any physiological crystallization in your physical body is simply the product of the arrangement of energy patterns that are representative of the idea you most strongly hold on to at any given moment. So they can begin in their own imagination to create, in relaxed states, a meditation, a visualization that is coupled with deep and resonant breathing or toning to balance themselves and place themselves in that neutral state of vibrational existence, of neutral pitch, so to speak. In that neutral state, when they find their signature vibration, the vibration that makes them feel, shall we say, most alive, most at home, most comfortable, the one that really strikes a chord within them, when they rest, when they float in that vibration, whether it is mental or physical, doesn't matter, when they float in that meditative state, they are at neutral. When they are at neutral, they can begin to visualize themselves as simply being constructed, physically speaking, of electromagnetic energy, blue-white light. Literally, they are made of blue-white light. See the body in that way. Allow the body to dissolve into energy, and then see the areas of consideration that you call the dis-ease. See how they may appear different than the idea of the blue-white light. They may at first appear to be a very dull gray. But the idea simply is that if you can focus on those ideas and learn the reason you have created them to begin with, then use the knowledge you learn. Apply that knowledge onto those areas of disease and see them transform into the blue-white bright light, so that the body idea, the energy idea, becomes homogeneous, so that no one portion stands out any more than any other portion. This is a very strong electromagnetically aligning idea. And if they are willing to continue to breathe into it and feel that they are breathing that electromagnetic energy in and out, suffusing every cell, every molecule, every atom, they can, with that centered state, completely divest themselves and transform themselves into the idea of a balanced being. And a balanced being cannot, by definition, contain dis-ease. Now, that is one suggestion. A lot of this, in fact, all of it, will have to do with whatever the belief systems are that are strongest within your acquaintance. You understand?
Yes.
But get the ball rolling, as you say. Allow the individual to begin to examine, to discuss, to discourse with the self, to know that answers can come from the higher self, to rest and relax in meditative dialogue with the self, and listen to the answers he gets. Ask. Have him ask, how does it serve me to have this disease? What am I learning by having created it? Then listen to the information. In that meditative state, I guarantee the information will come, and then he can apply it and decide what to do with it. Understand?
Yes, yes.
Has this been of assistance?
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Also, on your behalf, do not see the individual, do not see any individual with a disease as weak. See them as having had the strength to allow such a limiting condition to come into their lives, because they know they are strong enough to learn from it. Support them with a vision of the strength it took to create the disease. Do not undermine them by seeing them as weak and incapable of changing it. Do not see them as a victim. Understand?
Yes.
So send your love in that way, knowing that they have the ability to do with that disease whatever they want to do. It really is up to them. And also, simply on your own behalf, learn from it what you want to learn. Allow yourself to realize that sometimes certain individuals will take on a disease, sometimes not so much for what they have to learn about it, but from what other people around them can learn, and therefore they are actually performing a service for many of the individuals around them that they love. You understand?
Yes, he certainly facilitated a lot in the family.
All right.
Yes.
Then allow it to be obvious in terms of what it is doing, in terms of what the individuals who are involved are learning about themselves. Because in any type of relationship, that is the bottom line, as you say. What is it you are learning about yourself by being involved? That's the purpose for that particular situation. Understand?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I ask one quick question?
Very quick.
Very quick.
Time's up. All right. Go ahead.
I was in Sedona over the New Year's
All right.
weekend, and
You'll have a good time.
oh yeah, wonderful time. We had visitors at the house late one night,
All right.
and my sense of them is that they were reticulum. Is that true?
You have an accurate sense, but I will go no farther. Let us say there was reticulum involvement in that area at that time. You were sensing an energy that was not necessarily as, shall we say, close in physical terms as you might have thought it was, but was permeating the entire area. And if you were sensitive to it, you could have felt that they were in fact very close. You understand?
Yes.
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
Shooting!
Hello, Bashar.
And good day to you.
My name is Lori,
All right.
and I would like you to explain for me and the people here your connection with the dolphins. What exactly is that you do with them if you work with them?
Oh, thank you very much. Now and then we do. The idea is that the dolphins, what you call dolphins and whales, are, from our point of view, first of all, once again, the second, shall we say, alien to us, alien species upon your planet Earth. You have, as a planet, two species that live side by side that are aware, self-aware species. Land human, water cetacean, dolphin and whale. So your world has two civilizations. Our connection to them is simply the recognition, first of all, that their environment has allowed them to be more consciously telepathic than you have allowed yourself to be in your environment up to this point. Therefore, they have been in communication with what you have called extraterrestrial societies for quite some time, quite a bit longer than your society has been. They are very strongly connected to the star system and the civilizations within that star system of Sirius, because there is a strong affinity between their energy. We are connected peripherally, simply because we also belong to the same triad of consciousness made up of your Earth, our Essassani, and Siskine, which is the name we refer to as the Sirius system. We are part of a triad, and because we are all connected and all involved in that way, in reflecting to each other different aspects of our collective consciousness, the one consciousness that the triad is, then the dolphins are also a part of that. And we work with them to allow them to assist you in dream realities more often than not, to teach you how to let go, to teach you how to love yourself, to teach you how to play, and to learn that ecstasy is your birthright. This is one of the strongest things we do with the dolphins, is, shall we say, I'll put it in a very colloquial sense, we work up programs in your dream and lure you into more love and more allowance within yourself. That is one of the strongest things we do with the dolphin civilization upon your planet, since it is my function to contact different civilizations on different planets. Anyway, I cannot leave the dolphins out. In a sense, when we are dealing with your planet, we must deal with both of you. But since both of you, your humans, your dolphins, are not yet dealing as equals with each other, then we will use whatever means is at our disposal to allow you to realize that you can join them and join us in ecstasy. Not because it is us, not because you need to, but just because you, in that sense, might prefer. It's not up to us to say, but you might prefer the idea of unlimited ecstasy over the idea of suffering. That is our basic endeavor and our basic involvement with the dolphin civilization upon your planet. You understand?
Yes. The reason I asked, I'm writing a screenplay called Call of the Dolphins.
All right.
And it refers to the connection with extraterrestrials.
Yes.
And a young man who helped, who is an Apunian, manifests as a man, and he helps a young girl learn about the full dimensions of her personality by introducing her to the world of the dolphins.
Oh, all right.
Now, I was wondering later on, if you had the time, if we could speak with Dreamer, the dolphin.
One moment. This will take place for various reasons within what you would call the next 3 weeks of your time, rather than this evening of your time.
Okay, so you're asking that I come back with...
Well, I am not asking you that. I am simply saying that the idea of what you call the dreamer consciousness will have a particular, shall we say, reason to interact with your society through this particular channel within the next 3 weeks, and at that time, any and all other ideas that you wish to utilize within that conversation can also be shared, along with what Dreamer also has in his mind to share at that time.
Okay, thank you very much.
We thank you. Shooting! Now, one moment. do understand once again that you have the ability in your own dream reality to carry on those conversations beginning this evening of your time if you wish to. You do not need us, nor the physical channel, to facilitate communication with the idea of dreamer, especially because, remember that dreamer is of your civilization, exists upon your planet. Therefore, there are no barriers to the communications that you and dreamer can have, beginning either in your dreams, or even if you wish to aid and assist the facilitation, to go into your physical ocean and play with whatever dreamer dolphins come to you in your seas. That will accelerate the atmosphere around you to begin to allow you to understand the communications that you require. You will be given, from the assistance and the guides that you have, whatever information you need. You do not need us, you understand?
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you very much and pleasant dreams. You're sitting.
Yeah, hi.
Well, good day to you.
This is my first time here tonight.
All right. Well, this is my first time as well.
Very good.
As every time is.
Right, I don't know if I should call you Mr. or Captain or...
How about friend?
Friend, that's good.
Thank you.
Or ambassador, too.
If you wish, but
anyway.
so are you.
Thank you. I didn't bring my list of questions today, but I did have one question I wanted to ask, but I'd like to give a little scenario on something that happened to me prior first.
All right. Be brief if you can.
I'll make it as fast as I can, yes. That's why my timing is off on comedy. I'm too fast. But last Sunday, I went shopping, and I bought a number of things at the health food store, and while waiting in line, I saw a package of cookies they had on special sale. I bought that. When I got home, I'm taking things out of my bag, and I happened to pick up the sales slip, and I know I only bought 3 things for over $1, and here was something for $1.39. I couldn't figure out what it was, and I kept looking around, couldn't find it at all, put everything back in the shopping bag, took the thing, went back to the store, talked to the woman. She checked it out, and she said, oh, these were for the cookies. I says, cookies? That's right, I did buy cookies. Where are they? She said, well, why don't you get yourself another package of cookies?
Nice.
So I did, put it in the bag, drove all the way home, walked into the kitchen, and what's staring there right in the face is a package of cookies.
Yes.
Now, what happened to them in the meantime, I don't know, but...
They were not in your creative reality.
That is true.
Especially because you are still dealing with the polarity side of some of the other issues that have been discussed regarding what belongs to you and what doesn't.
Okay, very good. Now, my integrity was in on cookies, so I went back to the store, and there was a different saleswoman there, and I said, I got these cookies by accident. Would you take them back? And she looks at me like I was crazy.
All right.
And she didn't know what to do with them. She called the manager, and she said, there's a guy out here bringing us back a package of cookies. Anyway, to make a long story short, I just said, why don't you just put them back in the shelf? And she said, gee, you're an honest guy. But what she didn't know, if they were peanuts, I would have stolen them. Anyway.
All right. We thank you for allowing yourself to reflect to yourself many of the lessons that you say you have desired to learn. And now all you have to do, as you have already begun to understand, is apply those lessons across the board, no matter what the substance, no matter what the situation. In that sense, on that fundamental level, there is no difference between what you call your cookies and your peanuts.
Well, to me there was. But anyway, I want to ask you a question. We have a planet called Pluto, and there's a body of, there's a mass that moves around Pluto now. What I want to know is, right. Now, is that a moon of Pluto, or is that another planet?
Well, in a sense, the definition of what you call a moon is simply any body that orbits a central body. So in that sense, by that definition, it is in fact a moon. It is rather smaller than the planet you call Pluto. And your society is now just beginning to discover some very interesting things about that binary system. One of the things they have begun to discover is that the very fine atmosphere that exists upon Pluto, not an atmosphere as you understand it that you could breathe in that sense, but the fine atmosphere that exists upon Pluto, they have begun to discover actually envelops Charon. So far out can it go. They will begin to discover also something they have not seen yet, that there is an actual, shall we say, electrical potential between the two, and there is a great deal of electrical arcing that goes on between the body of Pluto and the body of Charon at particular times of alignment within your solar system, particular times of buildup of ionic charge between that binary pair. In a sense, yes, it is a moon because of the strict definition of what a moon is.
Very good. Are there any other moons around Pluto?
There are other debris, but not anything of the magnitude of Charon.
Okay, now in our solar system, other than Earth, is there any other life in the third dimension that we might discover?
There will be discovered in time certain compounds, certain remnants within certain areas of what you call Mars. There will be certain compounds, certain conglomerates of molecules within what you may call a few or several of what you call your gas giant planets, your Jupiter, your Saturn, your Uranus, your Neptune. These will be, in your terminologies, primordial forms of organic life, but will lend you clues to the understanding of what you as a mass consciousness used and utilized to create many of the ideas of life forms upon your Earth. There in time will be seen to be interactions with other ideas, other levels of consciousness, but in your third dimensional state, no. There is inhabitation, to use the term loosely, with every single planet in your system, but not in the third dimension.
Thank you, friend.
We thank you very much, friend as well. Shooting!
Good evening.
And to you, good day.
My name is Marion,
All right.
and I'm from London, England,
Oh, all right.
where I think the quality of life is deteriorating.
Oh, all right. How so?
Well, I'll just proceed.
Oh, all right.
I find myself increasingly uneasy and uncomfortable at times
All right.
when I feel overtaken, as it were, by an alien state of mind,
Oh, all right.
and am then appalled at what I see and hear in the world.
Yes. Do you want to do something about it?
Most definitely.
Oh, what?
Ah, that's a good question.
Oh, thank you very much.
An enormous question.
Oh, if you say so.
I trust
Yes.
that this state of mind
Yes.
will not lead to dis-ease.
Oh, no. Not unless you do not recognize that it can be used in a positive way. If you do not recognize that it can be applied in a positive way, if you become overly concerned about it, you can manifest it in a diseased state, but there is nothing inherent within it that says it must go that way. It all depends how you apply it. Now, how do you want to apply it?
Very positive.
All right. Anything specific?
Oh,
Any particular methodology? Any particular mode of teaching, of sharing, of doing?
Well, I would need time to think about it.
All right, you have all the time in creation. I will simply remind you that when you decide what that modality, what that methodology will be, remember that unconditional love will be the basis. That there is no need in attempting to change, in allowing things on your planet to change in positive ways. There is no need, in the fact that it would be quite contrary to your desire, to go about it in an accusatory manner, in an attacking manner, by shaking a finger at someone else and saying, you bad person, you are responsible for this. All right, they may be very strongly connected to the idea of what you call the dire state of circumstances upon your world, but to pile on more accusation only adds to the negativity. The whole idea is to allow them to change, to create a situation and an atmosphere in which it makes it desirous for them to change, by inspiring them to change, by being a living example of what that change will result in as a person, by living in the world you believe you want to live in now, by being a representative, an ambassador from the future Earth you say you want to live in, and treat them in that sense with love, opening up lines of communication, avenues of communication with them in a way that inspires them to want to change their point of view rather than accuses them of what they have done. For blame will only add to the momentum of the negativity that they're already very familiar with in creating.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. It's your planet, and we thank you for being bold enough to have chosen to want to be of assistance in that way. Trust that whatever your imagination comes up with, in whatever way you wish to apply those ideas, will be, if it is something that really excites you more than any other thing, will be the methodology that will work best for you, because that's what your imagination has been designed to do. Give you the methodology that will work best for whoever it is you have created yourself to be. So flow with integrity with the strongest idea, the strongest method that excites you above and beyond any other method you could conceive of in terms of sharing your point of view for creating a more positive planet.
Thank you very much.
We thank you very much for being a part of the entire transformation.
Hello up there.
Well, hello over there.
Yeah, I've read about in Atlantis they had a dome-shaped building.
Many, many, many.
Well, this one they would go into.
Yes.
And it had crystals to
The
raise
Temple of
vibrations.
Healing, yes.
And it said it was not the Temple of Healing, that it was for them to like get direction in their lives and to raise their energy levels.
Is that not the same thing?
Yeah, I suppose, but it wasn't the quote Temple of Healing.
All right. Shall we say, more precisely, the Temple of Centering?
Okay.
Step up, Mike.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yes.
I was interested in the energy they had in there, and they seemed to have a system where they would have crystals that were fed by energy suppliers, and
By light, yes.
by light. Yeah. And I'm interested in creating that kind of atmosphere in a room at my house.
All right, go right ahead.
I was wondering if you could give me some technological insights into like how I can get a crystal that'll supply a constant source of energy.
First of all, recognize that crystals in that sense are simply a very basic form of crystallized energy. They are not very far removed from the non-physical state.
Then why do you have to charge?
You do not necessarily have to. Remember that a lot of the ideas on your planet you have heard about what you are quote-unquote supposed to and not supposed to do with crystals are simply different belief systems about how to go about allowing the idea of the crystal to act as a catalyst and a trigger for your own power. Because you, in that sense, are creating the power of the crystal. The crystal is only functioning as a remote amplifier for your own energy or the collective energy of your entire planet. But it is, in that sense, activated your energy. It is only a trigger in that way. So the idea is, in your meditative state, to find out which crystalline forms attract you the strongest. Use those crystalline forms in whatever arrangement your imagination says feels, key point, feels most correct. And for you, you will replicate to the best of your ability in your contemporary surrounding the same idea, the same effect that the Atlanteans did in their civilization.
And I don't have to like have a generator crystal?
You can, but you do not have to, because you are a master crystal.
Okay.
Remember that the idea of these crystalline forms, it is something you are discovering, shall we say, again, but the society you are now is different than the society you were in Atalantean times, and the way you will use the crystals now will not be identical to the way you used them then, because the atmosphere is different, the energy is different, the consciousness is different, the experiences are different. Now is the time to use less materialization. Now is the time to simplify. Whatever inspires you, whatever you feel is correct for you to use, by all means use it. But it is not something that is absolutely essential. And another person may find that a completely different approach will work for them far more strongly than anything you might come up with for yourself, and vice versa. Use your imagination to see the arrangement that would be beneficial for you, or you can even allow yourself the realization that if you fully understand the idea that the crystals are only symbolic, in a sense, of your own energy, you may not need the crystals at all.
Mm-hmm.
It is up to you. However, quartz crystal is a very, in your terminology, strong conductor, a very clear conductor. You may, if you wish, begin with that. One thing that may be extremely beneficial as far as vibrational frequencies go, as far as vibrational affinities go, as a reminder, as a catalyst, as a trigger for blending the emotional self, will be the idea of what you call rose quartz and amethyst. Also, very strong as a magnetic ground, for we have been talking about grounding this evening, will be the substance that you call hematite. It is very magnetically orienting.
Okay.
So perhaps if you wish, begin with this, the clear, the rose, and the violet, and allow there to be a pattern of your own creation that blends all three. And then allow there to be the small amounts of the substance of hematite to act as a grounding so that what you are actually doing is creating, in a sense, a piece of inspirational energy art that says that while you are plugging into the stars, once again your feet are still firmly on the ground.
Okay, I want to just reflect a couple ideas off you.
Go
about
right
that I've
ahead.
had.
Those are the qualities of crystals.
Yeah, okay. So you're crystal too, and I'm reflecting off you, right?
Yes.
Okay, one is that if you took a crystal to like a vortex in the magnetic grid line,
Yes.
and you put a crystal there,
Yes.
could that then relay that energy back to another crystal in your possession?
Absolutely. And you will find, in a sense, not exactly as you have said it, that that particular idea will revolutionize, within what you call the next 50 years, communication upon your planet. Because you will find that there is such a thing as, shall we say, sympathetic vibration between similar forms of crystal. And whatever type of vibration is, shall we say, instigated in one crystal can automatically happen at the same time in another crystal, no matter how far away that crystal is. Simultaneous transmission in that sense.
So it's like training wheels for telepathy.
Very, very good. Yes, very good.
And another idea I had is that I made a pyramid out of clay.
Yes.
It's scaled after the Egyptian pyramid of Giza.
Yes.
And I was wondering if I put a crystal inside of that and then like had a quartz rod coming off that, if that would bring the energies through, not quartz rod, I meant copper, that comes out, if that would carry the energies that the pyramid is focusing.
It can. However, is your clay model very, very accurately smooth?
It's very smooth. It's not perfect, but I made a point to use exact measurements as much as I could, and it did shrink some when it was fired.
As long as the ratio is the same, it can do that, yes.
Okay, and then, so if I took the copper line out and then put it into other crystals, they would have the same energy as if I was inside of the pyramid at that point, where the crystal...
It will be directed differently. The focus will be different, but it is the same type of energy. The pyramid simply acts as a lens for magnetism, focusing it in a very specific way. Now, one of the ways that we have discussed that this can be, shall we say, most efficiently drawn from is to have a copper base with the copper spike coming up through the pyramid and piercing a crystalline cap and coming out the cap as an antenna.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Right. As one final thing, I wonder if you could tell us where there's any major vortexes in the LA, Malibu area.
Malibu itself we have discussed many times.
Is the whole place a vortex?
Yes. For do understand, the issue of vortex is not always absolutely defined by a particular coordinate. The entire area, as you understand that notion, shall we say, leaks into other dimensions in various fluctuating ways, depending upon the alignment of your planet with your sun, and the alignment of your planet with other planets, the timing, the seasons, the tilt, all the gravimetric information upon your planet goes into creating the fluctuations that happen in any one particular vortex in any one particular area. But the entire area you call Malibu leaks into other dimensions. To some degree, all points do. But there are certain areas that you have called vortices or gates upon your planet that are to some degree more aligned, more, shall we say, conducive to allowing them to function as true tunnels from one dimension to another. Malibu is a very strong area. Another very strong, highly magnetic area is what you would call the perimeter of your La Crescenta.
La Crescenta?
Yes. Those mountain areas around what you call your La Crescenta are very magnetically strong.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Also your Palm Desert. Shooting!
Good evening, Bashar.
And good day to you.
I'm going to ask my question first and last.
First and last.
Yes.
All right.
My question will be, how does all of that seem to you? And I will weave a little story here first.
Weave away.
Okay. I always considered myself to be an explorer of sorts.
An
And-
explorer of sorts.
Oh, all sorts.
How many sorts have you explored?
Limitless.
All right.
Okay.
Do continue.
All right. Last year in July, I got into something which I had information on previously, but hadn't done myself. And in that particular experience, I began to find that I was no longer grounded, for one, because this particular procedure is in the flotation tank.
All right.
In this intervening period of time, I spent 2 to 3 hours a week floating,
All right.
literally not grounded.
All right.
Okay. I went in with no preconceived ideas of what I would experience.
All right.
And so my first 5 minutes in the tank was spent laughing like a crazy person because of this new float experience, the weightlessness,
Yes.
and many other things.
Yes.
Okay, going along into the story, I started seeing things.
Yes.
As I went back into the tank, I saw more things,
Yes.
and I contacted people in different places from that which I was familiar with.
Yes.
Mainly, what I would call Atlantis.
All right.
Okay. I met a group of people, which was a council, they call themselves a council of 6.
Yes.
This council of 6 people, and I sat in the room, and they had bodies, but they didn't seem to have distinguishable heads. Their heads glowed.
All right.
From there, I went on to 4 other people who showed me through pyramids, and have been showing me in 3 different pyramids, many different areas of Atlantean culture.
Yes.
Okay. These people I consider to be like guides to that particular area.
Very good.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, as I could keep going back to these people, these council of 6, they say, we'll let you keep coming in to pull out information as long as you pass it along to others.
Yes.
Okay.
That is the applicability which keeps you grounded.
Okay. Now, most recently, when I was in the tank, which was about a week and a half ago,
Yes.
I came in contact with these people, and this burning question had been arising, because I would see these people of this council of 6 suddenly go into 1,
Yes.
and then they go back into 6,
Yes.
and they're playing tricks before me. So I said, or I asked them,
Yes.
where do you come from?
Yes.
Like that. We took off. And it was like, well, and I don't suppose you've seen the movie Star Wars, but
It is within the memory of the channel.
how about hyperspace, okay?
I
It
understand.
was that fast travel,
Yes.
okay. And they took me, or it took me,
Yes.
or whatever,
Yes.
to their home.
Yes.
And I experienced that experience. When I was in the tank, there was probably it could have been a tidal wave because my body shook so much.
Yes.
And my hair, and the tank, the water in the tank is the same as the temperature of a person's skin. And yet my hair was standing on end. It was an electrifying experience. I
Yes.
loved every minute of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I've asked the question, and they told me, they showed me where they come from, and when I was there, this name came through, and I am not one to read on names. That
I
are
understand.
different. Okay, Ashtar.
Yes.
That's the name that came through.
Yes.
Okay. And I was saying, why me? Why, and the answer
Why not?
is, That's right. You know, the answer was because you've been doing this for a long time anyway.
Yes, you are to some degree. Now, we have used this term now and then for a few of you. It does not always mean precisely the same thing from person to person. But we use it as a general term. And we can use that term again now. It's because you are a pilot. And you are familiar with that idea of navigation into different dimensions.
All right. Now, what they want me to do is this energy wants me to play out the whole thing through various media avenues here. I'm a physician. I work all day and this sort of thing going on. What the hell am I doing here? And they said, don't worry, you can leave your office and we'll have somebody else there to run it for you and you have plenty of income and you can do your movies and write your books and all of this sort of thing.
Yes. And so?
Yeah, I guess I'm supposed to do this, you know. I don't have any disagreement with it.
All right. It is not a supposed to, in the sense that they are forcing you to. It is simply what you have agreed to do.
Yeah, it was something that I've agreed to do, and that was the initial contact was,
Yes.
Like I said, we'll let you keep coming back as long as you agree to do this, and I kept wondering what the heck I had agreed to do a long time ago.
What excites you the most?
Yeah, while doing something like this and furthering my explorations.
Yes, and also you will find that some of the teaching methodologies that you also used in your Atalantean incarnations were similar to the notion of the tank itself. The types of meditative states you would allow other individuals to get into so that they could, under your guidance, learn to explore, in that sense, the idea of different dimensions. Now, the nomenclature, the vibration of Ashtar, is representative of a particular, shall we say, faction of consciousness. It is not as many of you think it to be. A lot of the interpretation many of you have of the idea of Ashtar is a physicalized one that makes the most sense in your reality. They are not precisely what many of you think them to be, exactly in the way you picture them. Also, some of the idea that you experienced energetically of their, shall we say, home, also entailed being taken through, this is your experience, being taken through the doorway, the gateway of the star system of Sirius, and then, shall we say, deflected on to the star system of Arcturus. Understand?
I do, thank you.
Now, always remember once again that you can apply these ideas in very pragmatic ways into your physiological reality through the things you wish to give voice to, through the things you wish to give picture to, sound to, through your art, through your creativity. And also, you may find that you may wish to, it's up to you, recreate the idea of creating that atmosphere for other individuals. So once again, as you did in Atalantean times, you can allow them to learn, to expand their consciousness, to also explore those different realms. Again, that exploration of sorts has to do with the idea of the fact that you are a pilot, and you are very familiar with exploring different dimensions of reality already. Now you can simply apply that same idea in yet one more way, just in the same way as you have applied it in thousands of ways through thousands of lifetimes since Atlantis. It is up to you.
I feel that I am living many careers in this one lifetime
Yes.
in this way.
Yes, you are blending. And therefore, that is why we are saying not only can you have the creative expression you have talked about in terms of a particular type of format in presenting the information itself, but you can also recreate many of the methodologies you have used in the various lifetimes to act as assistants, as methodologies, as techniques, as atmospheres, as environments, so that other individuals may also take advantage of that particular knowledge and learn to expand themselves in various ways as well. You can do this through the idea of workshops. You can do it through the idea of setting up your own kind of meditative areas that people can go into to get in touch with themselves in whatever way they want to. It is up to you. As an analogy, do remember that from time to time, The idea of our communication with your civilization through the channels we communicate with, to some degree, is augmented by what we typically refer to as our computer consciousness aboard our spacecraft. And you will find that I, in many cases of these transmissions, am in a state of repose, similar to the idea of you being in your tank, so that I am assisted and augmented to be able to project my consciousness through my dimension to your dimension, so that you can perceive this interaction going on in much the same way that you perceived visiting that group's homeworld. You understand?
I understand.
There are on our motherships many cubicles that function as augmentation chambers. They are not filled with water in that sense, but they are very similar to the idea of being placed in a chamber that augments the consciousness in a way that allows you to know that what's going on in your imagination, as this conversation is right now within mine, is all. And good day.
I would like you to tell me what is my true place.
Right here, right now.
Thank you.
Whatever you are, that's your true place. Once again, applying what we have just talked about, how can you be anywhere else other than what is representative of the things you need to know about yourself right now? You cannot really be off your path, because the path is not what you are on, a path is what you are. You cannot be off yourself. The idea, once again, is to simply recognize that if you do what excites you the most, with integrity, and live in the moment, here and now, you are fulfilling all of the ideas and the notions that you call purpose and mission and place. Because the main purpose and mission and place of all of your lives is to be to the fullest that you can whoever it is you are. Because there is no one else like you. There never has been. There never will be. And even though you are reincarnational beings, the you are now only has one life to live. Be that you to the fullest, and that will be the fulfillment of your place. Thank you very much. At this timing, allow us to extend once again, and for the very first time, our unconditional love and our deepest appreciation in allowing us to experience and enjoy each and every one of you individually and collectively. You have a very sweet taste. We thank you. We remind you that you are dreaming right now. Wake up and live the dream you prefer to. It's your choice. It's up to you. We will extend to you a most joyous, a most loving, and a most ecstatic good day. Come on. Be anywhere else other than what is representative of the things you need to know about yourself right now. You cannot really be off your path, because the path is not what you are on, a path is what you are. You cannot be off yourself. The idea, once again, is to simply recognize that if you do what excites you the most, with integrity, and live in the moment, here and now, you are fulfilling all of the ideas and the notions that you call purpose and mission and place. Because the main purpose and mission and place of all of your lives is to be to the fullest that you can whoever it is you are. Because there is no one else like you. There never has been. There never will be. And even though you are reincarnational beings, the you are now only has one life to live. Be that you to the fullest, and that will be the fulfillment of your place. Thank you very much. At this timing, allow us to extend once again, and for the very first time, our unconditional love and our deepest appreciation in allowing us to experience and enjoy each and every one of you individually and collectively. You have a very sweet taste. We thank you. We remind you that you are dreaming right now. Wake up and live the dream you prefer to. It's your choice. It's up to you. We will extend to you a most joyous, a most loving, and a most ecstatic